Hi, I'm Bill DiGiulio. Today I'd like to talk about diminished chords and diminished scales and diminished arpeggios. First of all, what is a diminished chord? A diminished chord is formed by taking any major scale and using the formula 1, flat 3, flat 5. There's actually two different types of diminished chords. There's diminished triad, which is 3 notes, like I just described. And there's also a diminished 7th chord, which is 4 notes. And in music theory, we call this one a fully diminished chord, for reasons I'll discuss in another video. But the fully diminished 7th chord is spelled, the formula for it, I should say, is 1, flat 3, flat 5, double flat 7. Now you might ask, why are we calling it double flat 7 and not a 6, which is the same as a double flat 7? Basically because the general guideline in naming chords, in spelling chords, in music theory is we make them up usually in triads. So we're using the numbers 1, 3, 5, 7, which stays with the, in thirds, excuse me, which keeps us staying with the thirds formula, okay, as opposed to going 1, 3, 5, 6. 5 to 6s would not be a third interval, of course, okay? So if we're in the key of C, for example, let's take a C major scale, and we'll choose the notes C, E flat, and G flat. That would be 1, flat 3, flat 5. To make the fully diminished 7th chord, we'll take 1, flat 3, flat 5, double flat 7, which would give us C, E flat, G flat, and B double flat, which, yes, and harmonically is the same as A, but we're calling it B double flat. Now, it's a symmetrical structure, which means it's made completely of minor thirds. So in the fully diminished 7th chord, from C to E flat is a minor third, from E flat to G flat is a minor third, so is G flat to B double flat. So we're simply stacking minor thirds to form this chord, which gives it a very interesting sound and a very interesting use harmonically. Again, which I'll go into more detail in another video. This video will basically describe how to play the chord and basically what you can, the arpeggio and what you can use to play over the chord. More details I will give in a second video to keep this from going too long. Now, how to play a diminished chord on the guitar. The 3 most popular chord forms for the fully diminished chord are the following, and I'll include a link to a PDF in the description of this video, so you'll be able to download a PDF of the actual chord chart, so it'll be easier to learn it as opposed to just simply looking at the video and copying my fingering. You'll have a hard copy of it you can refer to. But I'll describe the fingerings anyway for reference. Let's say I want to play a G sharp diminished 7th chord. I will play the 4th fret on the 6th string. I'm going to bar the 4th, 3rd, and 2nd strings with my 1st finger and put my 3rd finger on the 3rd string, 4th fret. And I'm going to be muting the 5th string. I'm not going to be playing the 5th string at all. It's not going to be sounding. So here's my fully diminished 7th chord based on the root A flat. And again, it's a 4-note chord: A flat, F, B, D. Excuse me. Now another inversion would be this one. This will be a D diminished 7th chord, and this is 2nd finger on the 5th string, 5th fret, 3rd finger on the 6th fret, 4th string, 1st finger on the 3rd string, 4th fret, and fourth finger on the second string, 6th fret. That's using the strings 5, 4, 3, 2. That's a diminished 7th chord. That would be D diminished 7th. And there's another common inversion. This one is using the top 4 strings. In this inversion, I'll bar the first 4 strings, the top 4 strings, with my first finger. Then I'll put my second finger on the 3rd string, 4th fret, and my 3rd finger on the 4th fret, 1st string. And this would be an F diminished 7th chord. Or, I'm sorry, let me use G sharp, sorry. Yeah, that would be G sharp diminished 7th chord. Or A flat, of course. Now, the interesting thing about diminished 7th chords is that they have 4 different roots. Each note of the chord can actually be the root of the chord since it's a symmetrical structure. You'll remember that I mentioned that the chord is made of completely of minor thirds. So that allows the chord to have a specific function. Each note in the chord can technically be the root of the chord. So if I'm playing this form right here, the 4 possible names of this chord can be F diminished 7th, B diminished 7th, D diminished 7th, and G sharp diminished 7th. Now, another interesting aspect of this chord is that it inverts itself every three frets. So, for example, this would be G sharp diminished 7th. That's G sharp diminished 7th. That's G sharp diminished 7th. That's G sharp diminished 7th. So each of those chords are the same root, and also each note of the chord, as I said, can be the root of that chord. So that's what's an interesting fact about diminished chords, diminished 7th chords specifically. So that would be how to play the chord, and as I said, you can refer to the linked PDF if you want a physical visual copy of that. Now, the arpeggios of these chords work out very well on the guitar because they're also a symmetrical structure. Here are my favorite ways of playing the arpeggios. The first one, I'll give you 2 different ways of doing it. The first structure is, again, using a symmetrical structure, using 3 different string sets, using 6-5, 4-3, and 2-1, and the fingering on each one is 1-4-2. So let's say I'm on the 3rd fret. This will be a G diminished 7th arpeggio, and I'm going to use the fingering 1-4-2, and then I'm going to move it down to the next string set, and then repeat that same fret position. So it'll sound like this. Okay, I'll do that again. So the fingering again is 1-4-2. Go down a fret, repeat, and of course backwards it's 2-4-1. Go up a fret. So that would be a G diminished 7th arpeggio. Another fingering for that is another symmetrical structure which uses the fingering combination 3-1-4. So I'll start this on the 6th fret using the 3rd finger, and it's a similar pattern. It's 3-1-4, down a fret, 3-1-4, 3-1-4. I'll do that again. 1, 3. So that would be two different ways of playing a playing a diminished seventh arpeggio. As well as the 3-1-4 fingering. And just as the chords can be moved up in minor thirds, so can the fingerings for the arpeggios. So for example, I can play the fingering I just used, the 1-4-2. And the other fingering, the 3-1-4, would work the same way. So that would be two different ways of playing a diminished seventh arpeggio. Now the diminished scale, I'll give you a fingering which I prefer, and this one is a possible to sweep pick. So the picking pattern is basically, I'll describe the picking pattern as I play it. First I'll go over the notes. So I'll do a C diminished scale, and this is what's known as the whole half diminished scale. There's others, but I'll just do this one. And here's the notes first of all before I do the fingering pattern. It's 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4, or excuse me, 1, 2, 4, 1, 3, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 3, 4, 1, 2. Then coming back, 1, 2, 4, 3, 2, or 4, 3, 1, 4, 2, 1, 4, 3, 1, go up a fret, 4, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, and the picking pattern is down, up, down, 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 up, down, or up, excuse me, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. I'll play that one more time, slow motion, without talking. And again, this will be included on the PDF linked in the description of the video. So that's just a brief introduction on diminished chords, how to build a diminished chord, how to use it on the guitar, how to play it, and how to move it into different locations or different inversions. So, and that'll give you, I've also given you diminished seventh arpeggio fingerings, which would be great if you have to improvise over a diminished seventh chord. The easiest solution to that is simply playing the diminished seventh arpeggio if you're faced with a diminished seventh chord that you have to improvise over. Now there are certainly other solutions, but that's the most, that's the easiest one to go for first and to get that sound into your head. And also, like I said, I've given you a sweep picking version of the C diminished scale, which will get you used to the sound of that in terms of a scalar structure as opposed to a arpeggio. If you have any questions on this, feel free to put it in the comments section of the video. If anything wasn't clear, put it in the, please ask a question or make a comment, and I'll address it in a future video. As I said, I intend to do a second video based on diminished concepts, where I'll go a little bit more in depth on how to deal with diminished chords if you see them in songs, what their actual harmonic function is, and etc. This, like I said, I think this video is plenty long enough to get you started, and I can go into more depth in a second video. Thanks very much for watching, and have a great day.